Welcome to the Health, Habits, and Epic Living podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sherry Price. The goal of this podcast is to educate and enable empowered women to take the next step towards achieving their health, wellness, and lifestyle goals. Let's get started. Hello, my friend, and welcome back to the podcast. It is the beginning of September. Oh my gosh, the kids are back in school. And what I love about this time of year is what I hear from a lot of women. It's like, the kids are back in school. I'm ready for getting back into a normal routine. And with the kids back in school, they oftentimes will say, now I have time to focus on me and myself and put summer behind and all the barbecuing and all the boating activities and sometimes all that drinking and overeating. I just want to clean it up before the holidays. And I want to help you do that if you are looking for help. Check out my new and improved Tone in 10 program. So if you're looking to get stronger, be more fit, and tone while removing inches from your waistline, then you will definitely want to check out my new Tone in 10 program. And I'm calling it new because I've implemented some of the changes the women in the past have recommended to make it even better. And here's what I want to share with you from the last cohort that went through Tone in 10. 75% of them achieved success. Isn't that crazy? How many programs, how many weight loss programs, how many things out there have that high of a success rate? Not many that I'm aware of. So actually, when people join a program, they're very excited right from the get-go. They're very excited right up front. And then oftentimes, over time, they lose interest. So they don't finish the program. They don't get the result they came for. How many women I know sign up for a gym membership and actually don't utilize the membership? And that's where I think Tone in 10 is so different, is that we really increase the accountability of this program, because that's where a lot of people begin to drop off, is that they're not staying accountable to themselves and they want that accountability. So I've included more accountability this time around in Tone in 10. And also, I want people to know that this is really about a lifestyle change. So I don't want you to think of this as like an Ozempic thing, right? It's not my quick fix. I am not against Ozempic by any means. I didn't mean that in a negative way. I just mean it's not something that we're going to delegate to something outside of us. I'm a firm believer if Ozempic is a right drug for the right patient, for the right duration and the right dose, to definitely use a tool that can help. I actually have my mom on Ozempic and it's doing wonders for her. However, it's a drug and I don't think people want to intentionally take that for a long period of time or forever. So it's really important, unlike Ozempic, that we learned to do habit change, lifestyle change. And I call that lifestyle medicine. It's really doing the changes in our life that are going to serve as like we were taking medicine, right? Like exercise is the best medicine of all. It does so many good things for the body. It's almost like too numerous to count all the benefits that exercise gives you. So inside Tone in 10, you are making lifestyle changes and you are making those changes stick. And the lifestyle changes that we focus on are actually melting away body fat. Now, I talked about on this podcast before how you can lose weight by 3 different ways. You can lose water weight, right? So if you ever get food poisoning, right, you can be down 5 to 10 pounds really quick because of all the diarrhea, all the maybe throwing up, all of that. You can lose a lot of water weight and you'll notice the scale goes down, but it doesn't stay down because as soon as you're healthy and as soon as you start drinking water, that weight comes right back on. You can also lose weight from your muscle. And as we age, ladies, we do not want to be losing muscle. It is very hard to get back muscle once we lose it later in life. So that is not a way we want to lose weight. So the other way is by losing fat mass. And this is what changes your body composition. So we are going to be focusing on those lifestyle changes that you could be making that are really going to make an impact on losing fat. And as I talk about in the program, there are different types of fat. We like the brown fat. We want to get rid of the white fat. If you're not understanding what this fat is. I will teach you all about it inside of the program because this is really a science-backed program from all the experts out there. I've done all the research and I've correlated it to make it super simple. And that's the thing. Weight loss or getting back in shape or getting strong, a lot of us get really confused by all the experts out there. And I really want to boil it down to make it simple and an easy to follow method. And so I call those protocols. You are going to have protocols inside the program. You are going to be giving a new protocol each week. And we are going to be checking in with you and seeing how it's going. If we need to make modifications, we make those modifications for you. This is customizable. And that's why I'm keeping the group small so you can get individualized attention from myself so that you stay on track and that you get your success, right? Your success means my success. I love it when the women in there are achieving their goals and getting stronger, fitter, feeling great in their clothing, feeling more epic, having more energy, better sleep, right? Just implementing these little habits, and they seem so little, but I will tell you, they make a big difference on how we feel, on how we execute throughout the day, and how we're really taking care of our health. It is really an honor to take care of our bodies, and I really want to show you how to make this fun, and again, how to make it easy. So I want you to know that we are starting the program the beginning of September. So if you are interested, please head over to my website, check out more information. If you've got questions, myself and my team, we will be happy to answer. You can just send us an email via the contact form on the website. But if you want to check out more information on how you can be stronger and get lean this fall, then check out Tone in 10. And that's going to be on my website, epicU.com/tone in 10. I can't wait to help you bust through and achieve your goals. So excited for that. Now, if you are wanting to come off of all the drinking that's been going on in your life over the summer, you can do that through my Epic You community. So if you haven't heard, my Epic You community is for women only, just like Tone in 10 is for women only. These are women only focused programs. And what we do inside of the community, it's a monthly membership. And you can stay as long as you like. You can join for a month, see if it's for you. And if it's not for you, you can cancel anytime. But this program is really designed for you to drink less. It's to help you change your relationship with alcohol. And while you're doing that, you're improving your mental health and you're also improving your emotional health. So you will notice a lot of the topics that we do in there are not just solely based on drinking, because as you know, drinking is not the problem. Drinking is the solution. And we want to give your brain other solutions. Because if your brain just keeps turning to drinking as the solution for fun, as the solution for boredom, as the solution for anxiety, as the solution for stress, then you're going to just see drinking, you're just going to want it more and more. And that's where we become really focused on the alcohol and thinking it's an alcohol problem. It's really not. It's really, how do I handle myself emotionally? How do I deal with myself mentally with all of these limiting beliefs I have around alcohol that I'm not being able to bust through to truly change my relationship with alcohol long term? And so that's the work we do inside of the Epic You community. You are more than welcome to join us. I know in September, we are going to be focusing on how to build an epic life without needing or wanting alcohol, right? That doesn't mean we give it up completely if we don't want to. We can just drink less. That's fine. But we want to make sure that when we take away alcohol, we're not feeling deprived. We're not feeling like, wah, wah. We're not feeling like, oh, I wish I had the alcohol back because that really lit up my life. That made my life more epic. Right? I want to help you design a life emotionally, mentally, all of that so that you feel epic even when alcohol is not a part of your day or a part of your weekend, if that's in alignment with where you want to go. Again, it's all about your goals, and I'm just your guide helping you achieve those goals. So in September, that's what we will be working on inside of the community. You know, inside of Epic You community, I hope I make this very clear when I'm talking about the community. You also have access to a lot of my other programs that have been created. That's the Drink Less Lifestyle program. You get total access to all of those modules. You also get total access to how to find your off button. So you not only have access to this month's topic, but you have access to the previous month's topics, the previous month's coaching calls, as well as the previous programs in there. You can come to any of the calls or come to the platform that you have any questions, and I'm happy to answer them. Actually, it's the biggest joy of my job is to be able to help you inside of the community. I just love that. And speaking of, I was just at a cocktail event not too long ago, and somebody asked me what I do. And I said, you know what? I have the best job in the world. I get to empower women to get better health. I mean, nothing lights me up more. Okay, maybe hanging out with my family and parenting my daughter, but really, it's truly a delight to serve in this capacity and to be able to call this like my job, my work, right? It's just so delightful to empower you to better understand yourself, to better understand your health, and really to realize what it takes to achieve your goal and help you get there. Such an honor to do that. In fact, I just did a masterclass last week about how to achieve your most important or your number one goal. And in that masterclass, I see a lot of women struggling around their health goals, right? How do I achieve that one goal? So I did that masterclass. If you weren't able to attend or didn't get to sign up for that masterclass, we will make the replay available, and we will be having that on my website if you are interested. I think we're going to be putting it under the shop page. So if you go to epicu.com, you'll notice there's different tabs at the top, one for my podcast, one for the shop, one for my programs. So it's probably going to be in the shop page. So just go to the shop page and you should be able to find it there if you want to learn about achieving the one goal. And the beautiful thing is there's a complimentary workbook that goes with that. And when you fill out that workbook, when you go through what we talk about on that masterclass, you are going to notice why it's different, how it's different than I've been to other webinars about achieving a goal or how to get to a goal. And they talk about striving and they talk about needing more confidence and more courage. And I want to say, I'm not totally in alignment with that. I find that not only getting the outer transformation is important, right? Getting that goal. But I find if you don't do the inner work to match it, you oftentimes get the goal and then slide back, get the goal and then slide back. Like if the goal is weight loss, you get the weight loss, but then again, the weight starts creeping on. So I believe in order to get the outer goal, there needs to be an inner transformation. And so I'm teaching that process of not only how to get the goal, but also how to get that inner transformation so it sticks. So we're not like having that goal again and having that goal again and having that goal again and feeling like we're yo-yo dieting or we're going back and forth between, I gave up drinking for a month and now I'm over drinking again, right? How to break that cycle of yo-yoing between. So again, if you're interested in that, please check out my website. And if it's not there and you're still looking for it, please email me and myself or my team will get back to you on how to find that. Super valuable. And I want you to have access to that if you are wanting to achieve that one important health goal. Because I will tell you, doing one change in your life, we know creates that ripple effect into other areas of your life. And people say, I just didn't know. I started doing this one thing. And then all of a sudden, my relationships improved. And all of a sudden, this improved. And all of a sudden, this happened. And it just seems like that ripple effect takes over. And that's really what living an epic life is all about, is making that one change that then radiates out from you. And you feel like, wow, you are on fire for life. Okay, my friends. So now we are going to dive into some of those highlights actually that came up from last week. You will find also in this podcast. But what I want to focus on today in this podcast is really about enhancing your capability. So I want to backpedal a little bit and just what is enhancing your capability? Well, just think about it. We teach youngsters, right, when they come out, babies, when they come out, we teach them how to use a spoon, how to use a fork. So basically, essentially, how to eat, right, with utensils. When we come into this world, we don't have that capability. We didn't learn it yet. And there's an age-appropriate time where you teach a baby that, because if you teach it too early, the baby just doesn't have a formed enough brain to retain the information in order to put it into action, right? So we build capabilities of our kids. We're doing it all the time. We put them in sports. We see if they like soccer. We see if they like piano. We see if they like fencing or whatever the sport may be. We're teaching them how to walk. We're teaching them how to talk. We're teaching them how to be polite. We're teaching them please and thank you, right? We're expanding basically their capabilities. We go to college. We niche down into a segment of college to say that's going to be our career. I niched down into pharmacy because I wanted to have the capability to become a pharmacist. I had the ability to fill a prescription, but I didn't have the capability to say, hey, I'm giving you this blood pressure medicine. This is how it works in your body. These are the side effects to anticipate. And this is when you should call a doctor or some warning signs, right? So I didn't know how to talk about the medicine. I didn't have the capability. I didn't have the knowledge of talking about that blood pressure medication or that statin or whatever it is. But after I went through my education, I came out the other side with the capability to practice as a pharmacist. Now, if I want to now become a doctor, I would have to go back to college to get those capabilities to be able to practice as a doctor. And I can do that at this phase of my life if I choose, right? I can go. I know the path to increase or expand my capabilities. So I just want to put capabilities in that context before I begin to dive into how increasing our capabilities is a process of change. And I know so many times I talk about change, and that's my word of this year because I'm embarking on change in many different ways, right? Like we are right now changing our master bathroom. We're gutting it and changing it. And there's a lot of change going on in that master bathroom. It's not going to look anything like the original, which is so fun and so exciting. And when I think about leveling up our health or wanting change with our habits, like it could be just that amount of fun too. But here is what's required for change. And I know we know this, but I love to talk about it again and then break it down into more context. So we know that change is a part of life, right? We know that we're going to want something remodeled. We know that we are going to want something shifted or changed in our life. We just go through periods of change. We go through stages of life, stages of our kids, stages of parenting, stages in our career. We're in the beginning stage. And then if we've been there a while, we're in the middle stage. And then maybe we're not liking our job and we're wanting to do the retirement part, or stepping away or finding a new job, right? Because the current one is no longer exciting or thrilling us or fulfilling us like it used to. So we practice change all types of ways. We even love to change our food. I mean, can you imagine eating the same meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner all week? I mean, we would get so bored, so irritated. The meal would taste great on Monday morning, but by Friday afternoon, we wouldn't be able to look at it or stomach it, right? So we love change. We're human beings. We love change. Whether we realize it or not is a different story. And we all have a story about change. And sometimes change can be hard and can be painful. Like when we lose one, the death of a loved one in our life, that could be a painfully hard change. So when we look at change, we know it requires us a few things. It requires from us to get uncomfortable. Yeah, living without your master bathroom and having to use a different area of the house. Yeah, that's a little uncomfortable compared to my comfort familiarity of waking up, going to that same sink, that same bathroom, that same shower. None of that's available to me right now, right? We're having to pivot and change and go somewhere else, right? So it's a disruption. It might be uncomfortable, right? If you're looking to lose weight or change your drinking or change your relationship with alcohol, it will get uncomfortable at times. And it's meant to. If it was comfortable, I bet you would have done it already. I bet you would have embraced the change much easier if it was more comfortable. So change requires us to get uncomfortable. I mean, I'm just thinking back to the first day of my daughter starting her freshman year. Can you think about the first day you started high school? It was pretty uncomfortable. Who are your friends? Where are you going to sit? Where's the cafeteria? Where are all my classes? Am I going to like my teachers? There's so much change, and it's intimidating and it's uncomfortable, and it produces nervousness, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. But that's required to change us. Part of this process allows us to change. So it's part of the process. Another part of the process is failing and learning from your failures. Yes, I didn't get 100 on each test I took in pharmacy school. Heck no. And I remember one of the first tests I took in biology, I got a 60. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not used to getting a 60. How do I handle this? Right? Because I saw that as failure. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't scored this low on a test in a long time. This means failure. This means I suck. This means I'm stupid, right? I made it into so many things that it didn't mean. It just says, I didn't understand the material well enough. Go back and learn it. That's all it means, right? So when we fail in our lives, when we fail at our weight loss goals, or we fail at drinking less, it doesn't mean anything bad about you. It just means there's something else for you to learn so that you are successful next time. Another part is to embrace anxiety. We talked about anxiety showing up because it's uncomfortable. Because maybe we walk into a room and we're usually the first ones at the bar, and we're usually saying, I'll get the next round. And we have this identity around alcohol that it brings us together. It's part of my tribe. I hang out with people who drink. And if I don't only hang out with people who drink, I hang out with people who drink a lot, So when we go against that, a lot of anxiety, a lot of nervousness will come up, especially if that's been our identity for a long time. Like that was my journey. I had to learn to be like, whoa, I'm going to be anxious here when I'm the woman out and not going in for that next round. I was in for the first round, but I'm not tapping in for the next round. I'm tapping out. And that's going to provide some uncomfortable feelings and probably some anxiety. And here's how I like the reframe on anxiety. A lot of times, because of the diagnoses and all we're talking about, all of us are anxious again, and we were apart and now we're coming together. So there's more social anxiety that people are experiencing when we were apart for the pandemic and coming together again. For some people, not everybody. Just realize it doesn't have to be a disease. For some people, it could be, but for some people, it's just an emotion. It's like, oh yeah, I have to get used to talking to people again. Oh yeah, this water cooler discussion, or however you have the discussion, or this chit chat that I'm not used to having. Oh yeah. I remember going back to the grocery store without a mask and being like, oh, now I can actually freely talk and not having to feel like, oh my gosh, get in, get your groceries, get out, go home and do the right thing. Right? But now I'm like, oh yeah, I get to sit there and linger and have a conversation. And what does that look like? How do I do that again? Right? It's a skill. You learn how to navigate anxiety. And so embracing anxiety is part of the change process. So if you feel yourself getting anxious, it's like, oh yes. When I started going back to the gym and I'm looking at the gym equipment because they moved it in the gym and they bought more equipment in the gym where I go to, I was like, where's the leg machine? It used to be here. And now I'm trying to find it and I'm getting a little anxious because I have to walk by people. It's like, okay, anxiety is part of the change process. Anxiety is part of the change process, right? Because I do like my habits. I'm very habitual. And so this is why I love talking about this on the podcast, because I get it. I get it that our brain gets stuck and it wants to get unstuck. And so embracing our capacity to feel anxious, what would that do for you? How could you reframe this anxiety to say, oh my gosh, it's showing up for me? Because I'll tell you, once you solve the anxiety, guess what happens? You get a dopamine hit. What does this look like? I find the leg machine and I'm like, there it is, right? And so I'm excited because now I'm anticipating and looking forward to doing the legs. And so that's a dopamine hit. It's the motivation, right? It's the molecule of motivation, learning, and desire. And so I found it. It's like, there it is. And then it releases dopamine. And then I get on the machine and then it continues to release dopamine. Think about, I don't know what to say next. I don't know what to say when they come by me and say, Sherry, are you in for the next round? Or what do you want for the next round? Same thing. And I say, I'm tapping out. Then I feel that anxiety. And then guess what? Relieves it. My brain can relieve it. Or somebody could say, okay, no problem. And then I'm like, that feels like relief. That's a dopamine hit. That feels so good, right? So just notice on the other side of anxiety is going to come relief. And it's okay. It's okay. So expanding your capacity to feel that anxiety, just know that it won't stay there. You're going to get relief. So what else is required for change to happen? Showing yourself that you can do it. And I call this building your resilience. Actually, this list that I'm reading off to you, if you could see me on YouTube looking down at my notes, I read this off because I posted this inside of the Epic You community for the ladies, because I wanted them to start really embracing change quicker and realizing on the other side is a beautiful flowery garden, right? That we're just like, this is what I've been wanting, is to be in this new space. And here I am, right? But that requires us to experience some discomfort. And it requires us to experience some of these bullet points I'm mentioning to you so that we can come out that other side. And so one of them was really showing yourself you can do it. And I put in parentheses, this is how you build resilience, right? When you come from, for my example, 8 years of wanting to change this over drinking habit. Maybe I didn't want to change it those first couple years. I was just like, oh yeah, this is my new norm. This is what I do. It's not harmful. It's fine. It's working for me. And then it wasn't working for me. And like, I wanted to believe in myself that, okay, I reduced my alcohol this week and I could do it again next week. I showed myself it was possible this week. I went down from 37 drinks to 30. Woohoo. Yes, I did it. And the next week I can show up for myself and believe in myself the same way, right? Week by week, day by day, month by month, whatever you need to take it, but really coming down to believing in yourself and building that resilience, right? Expanding your capacity so you can be more resilient. And this requires believing in yourself. And this, my friend, is where all the mindset work comes into. We do a lot. I can't even emphasize that enough. We do a lot of mindset work inside of Epic You community because oftentimes our brains will fail us. They'll give out. They'll give in. They'll throw in the towel. They'll say, this is too hard. They'll say, it's Friday night. Don't you know, my friends? Oh, and I just want this buzz, right? And they tucker. They cave. And so we want to do the mindset work, which requires believing in yourself. That's why all of August, we spent time saying, what are the new beliefs we want to believe and how to practice that so they become our new beliefs. So we become that future version of ourselves that we want to be with whatever health goal. Especially difficult when your brain has been basically swimming in the water of the old self. This is what I do. This is just on autopilot. My drinking is just what I do. I just order another. Once I start, I don't stop. I don't even want to stop once I get started. I hear that a lot. Yes, that's the way your old brain is working or current brain, but that line of thinking won't help you get the change that you seek. And so when you want to change, it requires that you believe new thoughts. It requires that you have a shift in mindset. And that is the inner work, my friends. If that inner work doesn't change, it doesn't matter what you do from a behavior standpoint, because if you give up alcohol for a month, it might come right back in without the mindset, that inner work. And the last part really is about expanding your capacity. So let me put it into terms that worked for me, and that I would overdrink a lot of times when I was mad. I talk about that a lot on the podcast. I didn't like disappointment. I like perfectionism. I like everything to go my way. I like when I'm in charge and not my child, especially when she's 5. And what do you mean she's in charge? I'm the adult. You have to listen to me. I'm the parent, all of the things, right? So when the night got disrupted because she's not going to bed on time, she's not getting out of the tub on time, she's not getting her homework done on time, like kids don't operate with the same efficiency that adults do. Absolutely not. The younger they are, the more crazy their schedule, right? They just don't operate efficiently. And I prided myself on being efficient and effective. And so when I wasn't being efficient and I wasn't being effective, wow, my anger, my disappointment, all of that would come up. And so drinking more was the way I kept that under wraps, that I kept that under control because I wasn't expanding my capacity to feel anger. And that can sound scary. And that can sound like the more I allow anger in, the more I'm afraid of what I will do with the anger. Now, if I'm hitting her or punching her or taking it out on her, even yelling at her, that's not good. That's not good for me. That's not good for her. That's not good for our relationship. That's not the appropriate management of anger. And so if that's what's coming out, of course my brain's going to see alcohol as the solution because I don't want to be a mean mom. I don't want to cause trauma to my child. I don't want to be abusing her physically or emotionally or mentally in any regard. So if it was to be the evil mom who couldn't control her anger or the mom who overdrank or drank too much, give me option B any day. But what I didn't realize is there's option C and option D and option E. My brain just saw either or. My brain just worked as all or nothing. My brain was black and white, right? It's either this or it's this. But once I was taught about how to increase my capacity to feel anger without doing option A and without doing option B, so drinking more or hitting her or acting out in a way that made me feel bad. And then I saw there was an option C and an option D. I was like, why didn't anybody tell me this sooner? Why didn't the therapists that I went to talk about this with me? Why did they just want me to sit on the couch and keep asking me questions, but not giving me solutions? I was like, oh my gosh, this radically shifted how I can manage myself and cut back on alcohol, not feeling like I'm deprived, not feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm going to act like a crazy lunatic at my house, right? So knowing that there's an option C and option D and option E is the coaching that I received. And it's the coaching I give to my clients now because I don't think we realize that we can expand our capacity for certain emotions and not have them eat us in a way or have us take actions in a way that we disapprove of. So maybe one of your emotional feelings that you need help with expanding capacity, and what I hear from some women, is loneliness. I don't know how to handle my loneliness. I'm so lonely. Even if I'm in a relationship, maybe I want that relationship to be different or look different, or that relationship doesn't understand me the way I want to be understood, or maybe it's the female relationships I need. I need more feminine energy in my life and not just masculine energy in my life. And realizing how to get that so we're not dependent on alcohol just to numb the need. Because if it's a need, it needs to be met. If it's a need. And we are social creatures, right? Too much loneliness is a bad thing. We know that. Same with our kids, right? They don't like to be bored. That feels very uncomfortable for kids to be bored. Now, some level of boredom is good. Same with adults. Some level of boredom is good. But if we're bored all the time, boy, that could backfire, right? And so can we expand our capacity for boredom? Not that we stay in the emotion. And I'm not saying stay in the anger, stay in the loneliness, stay in the boredom or whatever. I'm saying allow it to be there and then see option C, D, and E on how am I going to manage myself when this comes up? What are some good strategies that work for my life, my phase of life, my age in life, all the things I want out of my life, right? Factoring all that in so I can live in alignment. I can live in alignment with my values. I can live in alignment with my goals. I can see how when I do and feel this, I'm not acting and self-sabotaging my goals. Because I see a lot of women choose things that are self-sabotaging their health goals. And they don't want to be doing those things, but they don't know what options C, D, and E are. And I want to tell you, it's not like there's just C, D, and E. There's a whole alphabet plus. And it may not just be you do C. Maybe you do C, H, and Q. And sometimes throw in Z, right? You might have a whole toolbox to say, okay, I'm going to go here. Oh, yeah, that's not working for me today. Now I'm going to go here, right? But you really want to know those areas so that you can expand your capacity. So I'm no longer held back by feeling anger. I know when anger enters my body, I make room for it. I allow it to be there. And then I say, okay, I'm in charge of this anger. What am I going to do with it? And then I have my go-to solutions that don't include food, that don't include alcohol, that don't include social media. I don't want to put out a post and then have to retract it, right? Like, I really want to be able to expand my emotional capacity. I think as adults, that's such a gift. We can teach our children as well. It's a gift to us. It's a gift to everybody once we learn it, how to handle ourselves emotionally. And it's a gift we can teach our kids. So important. I know a lot of schools are embarking upon these emotional learning capabilities, these life skills. So important to expand your capacity. So here are 2 big questions I asked inside of the Epic You community. And I encourage you, if you're not driving and you're sitting at home and you have access to pen and paper, to not only jot these 2 questions down, but to really answer them. Because a lot of people will hear them and then just go off to the next part of the podcast. But I really want to tell you, to get the most meat out of a podcast, it requires you to level up and do some work, right? Get in there and learn about yourself. You can learn all about my life, and that's wonderful. I invite you into that. That's why I share here. And if it empowers you, lovely. But I want it to change you. And these things may have worked for me, but we want to really understand what's going to work for you. So here are 2 questions, because I believe we're all capable of change. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. It doesn't matter your starting point. It doesn't matter your ending point. You might think that goal is too aggressive. I worked with somebody who wanted to lose 50 pounds. I've worked with people who wanted to lose more than that. It's not that aggressive if you give yourself enough time and you want to do and expand your capability to be able to get there. Because all it is a capability journey that you're taking yourself on. So we are all capable of change. So here are the 2 questions. Are you doing what it takes to make this change happen? So are you doing what it takes to make this change happen? And the second question is, are you believing what it takes to make this change happen? Right? Because doing, the action part, is just one step, but it's really believing. Because if you're not shifting your identity, if you're not doing that inner work, if you're not healing the things that need to be healed, if you're not letting go of the self-judgment, that inner work is the most important, because the inner work changes the outer work. But a lot of us just want to put lipstick on a pig. And we just want to make it look all pretty from the outside, but inside we're emotional chaos, right? And so I'm not against changing the outward appearance at all. But I know the outward appearance will stay if we do the inward work that's required. So are you doing what it takes to make it happen? And are you believing what it takes to make it happen? And this is where I really want you to answer those truthfully for yourself, right? Really answer them truthfully, because I believe the truth sets us free. If we keep lying to ourselves, if we keep brushing it under the rug, if we keep minimizing it and saying, oh, this is a first world problem, or gosh, my life is so good, but this one little thing, I'm just going to keep, it's just a little drinking over habit problem. That's what I would tell myself. I'd minimize it and I'd say, oh, well, I have enough food on the table. I don't have the big problems, blah, 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 minimizing. And what did that make me feel like? That my needs weren't important, that my problems weren't important, that they needed to be bigger, that they needed to have some kind of amount of gravity to them. And since it didn't have that amount of gravity to them, since I didn't hit rock bottom, well, I'm good. And so it just allowed me to ignore it even more. And that's why I don't care how small the sliver is in your finger. It still hurts, and it still shouldn't be there. And you can still remove it. And we all have the capability. So don't cover it up. Don't minimize it for you, for yourself. If your friends minimize it, don't talk to them about it. Go to a place where you can safely talk about it, where it feels like you won't get judged, and where people will support you, right? That's what I love about our community. We're there. No problem's too small. No problem's too big. We're there no matter what. And if a problem feels small to you and you keep brushing it under the rug, I'm going to point it out to you, because I'm your friend and I'm the bearer of truth. And if I see that it's keeping you from living as your best self and an epic life, then let's solve that. There's no shame to it, right? Let's just remove it. Let's just remove the splinter. And so that you feel whole, complete, and where you want to be. So I believe we are all capable of change. Again, doesn't matter our age, doesn't matter the size of change that we want to get. We are all capable. So sit down and answer these questions because I think they really highlight your truth. And that's really important for self-discovery and for accepting yourselves to be able to move on. So I don't know your goals. I don't know your obstacles, but I do know my goals and I do know my obstacles. And this is why I believe in the power of coaching, because sometimes I can't see the solution, but my coach can, right? Sometimes it's so obvious and it's right there, but I never saw it. It's like option C, option D, and option E, where I'd go to the experts. I'm like, why aren't they showing me these other doors? They're telling me, yeah, you just got to, just manage your anger. How are you going to manage that? Yeah, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself. And while that is true, it would have been nice to have some suggestions and help along the way in that category. So asking the right questions of yourself, being willing to answer truthfully, super important. Because here's what we know about change. Change, it's not rocket science, my friends. We are not trying to split the atom. We are not trying to deactivate nuclear waste. We are not trying to solve world peace. We're not trying to do the really hard, complicated things that may not have answers, or the answers are really complicated and complex. What we do know about change is not rocket science. And so when you hear that, I don't want you to get deflated. I don't want you to hear that as, oh my gosh, right, it isn't rocket science. I should have got the change by now. No, I want you to hear the empowering message. I want you to hear the message that it is possible. You do have capability. You do, and you can increase your capability. And here's what I also want to offer. You don't have to go at it alone, right? You can learn the way by yourself. Sometimes that takes more time. Sometimes that requires more struggle. But also you can help yourself with capabilities and getting them quicker. You can get yourself a membership to a program where they can teach you tools like Epic You, right? That we're teaching tools in there all the time. We're talking about tools, ways to help yourself to get the life that you want. You can increase your capability with other things. A gym membership might increase your capability to access more weights, more classes, a community of like-minded people, right? If that motivates you, if that helps you achieve your goal quicker and faster, you may want to invest in these to increase your capability. So for instance, I have certain arm exercises that I do to increase my muscle mass. However, when I hire a trainer, I always challenge them to show me other exercises that I might not routinely and habitually practice. They're going to expand my repertoire of arm exercises that I can do to strengthen my back, to strengthen my shoulders, to strengthen my biceps, to strengthen my triceps. And when I'm not just using the same 4 exercises in each category and I get a new one, guess what happens? I'm like, oh, I'm sore in a different way. Oh, that triggered some other small muscle group that I wasn't hitting with the way I was doing it. So that trainer is helping me expand my capabilities so I get to my goal quicker, faster. So other areas, you can hire a coach, a program, you can use different tools. I recommend writing down the tools that are effective for you. We talk about a ton of tools inside of Epic You, talk about a ton of tools inside of Tone in 10. You have access to a bunch of protocols and tools inside there. If you need help counting macros, we've got a tool for you, a couple of them that work out well. I got experts in there, all kinds of tools so that you can utilize them so that you can get to your goal and expand your capabilities. And really what we're looking for is a better way to do life, a way that's going to work for our lifestyle, a way that we can stay committed, a way that we can make it sustainable. And it's not just something we do for a short period of time, get the result, and then slack off. And then all of a sudden we don't have that result anymore. So it's something that we want to look at for habit change. Sometimes it's about putting in a boundary, and it's not a boundary on others. It could be a boundary on others, but maybe it's a boundary you need for yourself. Let me give you an example of a boundary I institute in my life. So when I go to Costco, there's this certain jar that calls my name, right? When I enter, I start looking for it. I enter the warehouse and I start looking for it. There are these chocolate covered caramels with sea salt. Have you had these dangerous bombs? When that container comes into my house, guess what? Between me and my other family members, it is gone in days. It's probably a container that's supposed to last months, but in my household, it just lasts a few days. And I'm the number one cookie monster down there. I'll call myself the caramel monster because I'm down there just chewing away on these things. And so I put a boundary in place. I'm like, I don't buy those routinely because if I do, I know that they will take me off track of the macros that I want to hit. And I don't want my macros misbalanced. I want my macros balanced. So do I never buy them? Nope, that's not my rule either because I don't want to be black and white or all or nothing about it. It's just that routinely I set a boundary where they are not allowed in this house this month. And I know what months I am weaker. We all know this. I'll tell you what, most of us are weak come December, right? We just say, oh, give ourselves a hall pass. It's the holidays. We just had Thanksgiving and we just got bloated there and we are now going into Christmas. No, those chocolates do not enter my house. Now, if I'm taking them to a plate or somewhere else, they're going into somebody else's house, different story, but they don't reside in my house longer than 24 hours. That's a boundary I set not because I'm trying to penalize myself or deprive myself, because I love myself. And because I want to take optimal care of my health. I don't want to take average care of my health because I see what average gets us in society right now. We think processed foods is okay. We think, eating out all the time is okay. Based on the restaurants out there, they're not using the healthiest ingredients. And I know my body just doesn't work if I give it all that stuff. And so I really want to take care of my body optimally so I can have the most health and longevity and vitality and feel at ease, right? I'm not grinding through this. I'm no longer that 20-year-old busting it out, pulling all-nighters, doing exams, I'm doing this with ease and joy because I'm in the back half of my life, which I believe are the best years of our life. We get to see the fruits of our labor and I really want more ease and I invite that in. And if I bring those chocolates in, there is more struggle. There is more mental chatter. There is more emotional drama in my head, in my body, because I'm going to want one. And oh no, don't eat more than one. Okay, just another one. One more won't hurt, right? Like all the things. I just don't want that. That's not ease. That's not vitality. That doesn't make me feel good. That doesn't even make me want to work out the next day, right? It's just sluggish. It burns down my energy. It's not good. So for me, I put boundaries. And so maybe you want to work on a boundary for you to increase your capacity to have the life you want. So look at what else you want to invite in to increase your capacity. I'll throw out another example that I hear a lot of people use that they find so beneficial. And that is the power of meditation. Now, if you tried meditation and it didn't work, I offer to try it again because all the research out there really backs. I say all, there is really not any research that shows meditation doesn't work for helping increase your capacity, your emotional capacity, your mental resilience, right? All of these things, all of these ways that we practice these tools so that we can increase our capacity for all the difficult emotions, the problems that come up in the day. People who meditate are more calm, they're more at ease, right? They're more centered, they're more grounded, right? So think of that as another modality that you may want to implement in your life. So not all of these modalities come with a price tag, right? But they do require you to invest in yourself. An investment might be a time investment. It might be a financial investment. It might mean both, right? But these are all ways that you can look at increasing your capacity. as I'm wrapping up this podcast, I want to talk about what else I said to the ladies inside of our Epic You community. Because yes, it's important to increase your capacity, but that's on the journey to where you want to go, the life you want to have, the goals you want to achieve. And all of that, in my mind, requires not only that you implement and increase your capacity, that you commit to it. Because what I know about habit change requires commitment. It's not something we just do temporarily and then wonder why it's not working months later when we stopped doing it. So I love helping women increase their commitment, because when you increase your commitment to your health, you're up-leveling your health. And it means I'm doing it not just for this period of time, but I'm doing it to really change my health and really change my habits over time. So I invite you to commit to a habit, a healthy habit that you want to implement this week. I invite you to level up this week. I invite you to level up 1 week at a time. Commit to a better version of you. Commit because you want to, not because you have to. Commit because it requires something of you. Commit because it makes you into something more, something greater. Isn't that a part of the reason why you're here? Let's do this, my friends. Change is meant for us, and it's time to claim our victory. So ladies, I am cheering you on this week, cheering you on to get the change that you want by increasing your capacity and increasing your capability. All right, my friend, stay epic, and I will see you next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about the misconceptions and myths there are around building a new habit. I can't wait to see you then. Thanks for listening to the Health Habits and Epic Living podcast. If you're ready to take the next step to improve your health, wellness, and lifestyle goals, head over to www.epicyou.com and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Again, that's EPICYOU.com. Please note that the information in this podcast is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice.